Thank you, Chairman.
Senator Markey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've been on the Telecommunications Committee, House and Senate for 46 years. No one has ever done this before. But I've met commissioners from so many different telecommunications industry backgrounds that raising an issue about Ms. Sohn's background working for her whole career to protect consumers, from my perspective, raises an issue. And that's the issue of whether or not, she's in any way compromised in her ability to serve on the commission. Well, I think it's just the opposite, to be honest with you. The experience and knowledge that Ms. Sohn developed while working to advance pragmatic telecommunications policies that improve people's lives makes her eminently qualified. Senator Blumenthal's already gone through so many of those issues. Net neutrality, children's protections, robocalls, you go down the whole line. So from my perspective, if former Federal Communications Commission Chairman Ajit Pai, who had previously worked at Verizon, that's one example, but I could go through a couple of dozen former commissioners who came from industries that were going to be regulated. If he was qualified to be on the FCC, then Ms. Sohn certainly is qualified to be on the FCC, having spent more than 30 years working from the public interest side of telecommunications policy. And I would note that Chairman Pai did not recuse himself from any telecommunications issues, even though he had worked for Verizon before he arrived at the commission. So I just don't want there to be a double standard here today. Okay? If we're going to have a standard, we have to have a standard. And I think that Ms. Sohn has done great work with her career. She has over 200 organizations and individuals who have called for her to be confirmed. I've never seen anything like that before in 45 years. She has been an incredible breakthrough candidate because of her LGBTQ background, and it's a critical time in communications history, especially when we look at issues like Title II and the question of whether or not it's a vital, essential utility or not, and so many other issues that have to be dealt with. So I have supreme confidence in Ms. Sohn. I think she's given very convincing explanations for her earlier testimony and for her reasons for not, in fact, disclosing everything because of the confidentiality agreement that was part of that agreement. So I would like, Ms. Sohn, just to give you additional time right now, out of my time, just to explain more fully, if you would like, the reasons why you believe that you should be confirmed at this time.
Thank you, Senator Markey. So I appreciate, actually, the expressions from both sides of the aisle that you recognize that I am qualified. I don't know if I'm brilliant, although Charles Gasparino did say that on Fox News. I thought that was pretty cool on the Tucker Carlson show. Who would have thought? I appreciate that. But what I want to make 100% clear here is that I have answered your questions with 100% honesty, to the best of my ability that I could do given the constraints I had under the settlement agreement. And it's right there. I have the settlement agreement with me. I could pick it out, but it's pretty easy to see that I was barred from talking or writing about the particulars of the settlement agreement. And I also want to make another point, that settlement agreements are agreements from parties of both sides. And let's talk about who was on the sides of the settlement agreement. You had the 4 major networks, okay, overflowing with very fancy lawyers and lots of money, and on the other side, you had this tiny nonprofit that only had $700,000 in the bank that was trying to get poor people and people in rural areas access to TV broadcasting, free over-the-air broadcasting. And I joined that board, yes, after the litigation started, because I thought that was a really cool mission. But even though the organization tried to operate under an exemption to copyright, not a loophole, an exemption to copyright that Congress put into the law, a court found that it didn't qualify. So there was no, no judge said that there was a copyright violation, that it was piracy. It said, look, you just don't qualify. Go, the two of you parties, figure it out. So the Locast decided, Sports Fan Coalition New York decided to settle as opposed to appeal. And I will say again, and you can ask the networks, they were very, very, very happy to do so because they wanted Locast shut down. We shut down Locast. We've actually paid all the money. We are now waiting for the networks to file a satisfaction of judgment, which I was told 3 weeks ago that they were going to do, but they still haven't done it, which I find kind of interesting.
Ms. Sohn, Senator Thune is next.
Thank you, Madam